Hello and welcome to the Parenting in the Digital Age panel. I am Phaedra Black and I'm the moderator of this panel. My Munchkin is right there. Say hi, Munchkin. So she's 9. She's kind of grown up in conventions and internet and all that fun stuff. And last year I was doing some other panels and I had people asking a lot of parenting questions on how we navigate that with my daughter. And we kind of decided that maybe we should just do a panel about it this year and, see how it goes. So I have some other people with me, and I don't know if we all have different views on how we parent in media. I don't know, but we're going to find out, and then we'll take questions from y'all as well. So if you want to tell, so my daughter's 9. So if you kind of want to.
Sure. So my name is Sean Weiland, and I speak in the digital media track, and I work in digital media every day. And I have a son who's 18 and just started college, and a daughter who is about to turn 8, because I guess I like to space things out.
I'm Stephen Adams. I've been working on digital media track for a few years. I do a podcast called Those Were the Days. And I have an 8-year-old son who is currently back in the hotel room because DragonCon's a lot. And he just needed some time away.
My name is Leanne. All of my friends call me Panda, and this is DragonCon. You're all my friends, so call me Panda. I moderate a Facebook group of about 300 women who are just badass women who happen to also be mothers. And as you can imagine, moderating a Facebook group of moms is a lot. But they are wonderful people. And if any of you are watching now, hello. I also do a Twitch stream on Monday nights called Panda Opinions, where I give random opinions and watch sometimes Gordon Ramsay and play video games. So just kind of get to know me if you ever want to watch that channel. So,
all right. And so a little bit of background about me is I do multi-platform content, adult and otherwise. So it is definitely a interesting way to navigate the digital world with my daughter because of what I choose to do, because she knows what I do. She's very aware of what we put out on the internet. She's very aware of what is out there on the internet. And we kind of school her in a way that we do that. So for you, first couple questions is like, how do you handle with your children the internet and the digital age? Do they get free reign? Do they have rules? Like, how do you go about it?
I'm sitting next to you, so I was going to go first, I guess. But so I've started it with it's all open until I try to not lock anything down until something bad happens. And then we try to have a conversation. And then if it keeps happening, then it's like, all right, well, I literally have to go put in passwords, put in time. But both my children love video games. My day job is I work in video games. So I try not to alter their experience in that because it's how I grew up and it's part of who I am. But yeah, there's recently, especially there's been with my daughter, she loves Roblox.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
And
who doesn't?
Yeah, no, and I have friends that work on it, and it's like, it's not that I don't like you guys now, but some of it, it's tough. But yeah, so a lot of stuff is, I try to let her just go and experience things, and then it's I guess case by case or situationally. So she told someone her real name, hey, this is why we don't tell people our real names online, especially when you're a kid, because there's these things that can happen. And it's also against the terms of service generally. So it's not just, try to be it's bad here and it's bad here and this is why it's bad. And then usually there's so in Roblox there's a level that was styled after Squid Games.
Oh yeah.
And she was like, oh, this is fun. I'm like, look, I know you don't know the show because we haven't watched it and you're 8, so I don't think you've gone on and turned on all the stuff and watched it by yourself. This is what this is about. And this is why, if you're looking at me right now, this is why I feel uncomfortable. Can we pick a different level or whatever they're called, world scenario? And she's like, oh, yeah, okay. And I was like, oh, crap, that worked. Excellent. So that's usually how I try to handle it, is case by case.
Yeah.
Right. And for you?
So yeah, for my kid, we've kind of never had a hard set of regulations and rules. I didn't grow up in a family that had this is how much time you have allotted to this or whatever, but the landscape of games and communication was very different, in the 80s and 90s. So nowadays I'm coming at it with the family of origin stuff of no rules. And then I'm realizing maybe we should consider some time limits here and there because it's always available. So like my kid, his entire understanding of the internet is through like kids YouTube, which is where Roblox comes in, because we learned all about different Roblox games through kids YouTube, which is where you saw the Squid Game thing. I'm like, wait, hold on, kids YouTube showed you this? That's not okay. So we're trying to navigate like whether it's time to start putting in some kind of limits and working through that kind of thing, and really just gauging him, and having the conversation. And he's a human. He's got wants, you can't just shut things off. Or like one of the things my mom always told me is that when you forbid something, it makes it that much more enticing. So I think that's where her kind of outlook came, and where it's kind of translated to me. I'm like, oh, if we tell him
know why
no,
it's all
yeah,
fun.
like, so we just try and be as open as we can, and let him into age appropriate stuff. And if something comes up, much in the same way, if it happens and we don't like it, then we deal with it.
Right.
And rather than like trying to get ahead of everything, there's some things we know we don't want him to see, but then there's some things we're just like, if he saw it, okay, let's work backwards. Let's try and go, okay, let's back it down. And he's really reasonable with that stuff.
Yeah.
He's kind of wise beyond his years for that kind of thing.
So unlike you, I came with an entirely different sort of parental background. My mom had all kinds of hard rules about how long we were allowed to be on the internet, watch TV, all this other kind of thing. So navigating what is appropriate for my son has been a challenge for me. And of course, it's a discussion with my husband as well. Wave to everyone. And it's been one of those things, because especially with my son and with COVID learning, he became computer literate very, very, very quickly because he did e-learning. So we had to, we came to the realization that our son is smarter than we are. Or at the very least, he's smarter than we think he is. So adjusting to that and having those conversations and making sure that, we're not just shutting things off for the sake of shutting things off. It's like, okay, well, you can't watch YouTube for 8 hours a day and then go and play with your friends and then do your homework. We have to talk about limits. We have to talk about balance. And, go play with your friends online, but also go out and kick a ball.
Touch grass.
So often. And it's been working so far. I can't say that we're doing everything perfect, but I don't know, he's here and he's alive. So that seems to be good.
Well, like for me, because being over 40, we didn't grow up with the internet. You didn't grow up with these things. So as a parent, it's definitely something new to navigate with. So it's like, whoa, wait. So like when she was younger, we did try to, we were like, oh yeah, we're going to have limits, sounded like a really great idea. Right. So she had an iPad though, but we put, kids YouTube, all the passwords, all the restrictions. She can only go here. She can only go there. She was 3. This is where it comes back. They're smarter than you think, or they're smarter than you.
She found a way around it.
She learned that if she asked Siri a question, Siri would pull up the video through the browser and it would bypass the security and password restrictions on the app.
Oh, wow.
She was 3.
Yeah.
I was like, well, that is interesting. So that's when we kind of changed our approach on where we talked to her about it. We have rules. We have, different things. Like our rules at this point, like she has TikTok. She's allowed to scroll through TikTok. She's not allowed to message anybody. She's not allowed to comment on anybody's video. She can like and follow, but there's no conversations. You can't send people videos unless you actually know them. Like you can send them to me and your stepmom and things like that, but you can't message and talk to people. If she's on YouTube and something comes up, it's like, if you think you shouldn't be watching it, like if you feel like you need to hide it from mommy and daddy, then you probably shouldn't be watching it. If we go, hey, what are you watching? And you go, nothing, we're going to immediately ask to see it. And if this becomes an issue, then you will lose iPad privileges until we can figure out where the miscommunication is. But I mean, she's 9. We haven't had any issues. She plays WoW. She plays Overwatch. She plays Roblox. She plays Minecraft. Like she's very into all of those things. And she's very honest and open with us as well. Because I feel like in parenting in general, having her feel like she can come to any of the adult figures in her life with something, I feel like it's like you said, like things being forbidden, you're not supposed to do it. Like they're going to hide it.
Yeah, and I think what you said there about if you have to hide it from me, then you shouldn't be doing it. I think that's a really, really important thing. And of course, eventually kids are going to get older and they're going to be doing things, and they're not going to want you to see it. We all know what we're talking about here.
Right.
But at
We
9,
got a few years for that at least.
Yeah, there's a few years for that. At 9, yeah, yeah. At 9, I should be able to pick up my son's iPad, open it up, take a look and see what he's been doing, and we shouldn't be having any problems. And if we have problems, we're gonna sit down, we're gonna talk about it. We're not gonna yell about it. We're gonna talk about it.
Because all yelling is going to do is make them feel like they are in trouble or they're truly doing something wrong. Where sometimes it's just they may not realize that it's not something they should be doing, because it is a new navigation of how we are going to do things. So we will take questions in a second, and we're going to have this wonderful little thing that you have a microphone and everything.
Box.
Yes.
So before we do take questions, I do want this to be mostly a Q&A type thing. Is there anything else that any of you want to touch on story-wise or just experience-wise to kind of set the stage for like what you are as a parent, how you parent, before we get into the questions?
I mean, I would say that, so it's one thing that I didn't think I would have to do, but have is like hard rules and limits on screen time. Because initially it was free reign, but like I've personally noticed like behavior differences in my child when they have long periods of play. And again, like as a game developer, bums me out because I want to be like, no, go explore the world of video games. It's amazing. But like if all of a sudden my child is like we kind of went over manners as you're growing up, and please and thank you and that kind of stuff, and it's like, get me that. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I don't talk to you that way. You may not talk to me that way. So we've actually had during the summer I kind of let things go fast and loose. As soon as school started, like, all right, it's school. So now it's an hour a day, unless you happen to finish everything. And then 3 hours on the weekends, which we kind of hold a little bit loose in case there's like a movie on we want to watch or something like that. But as far as like her open choice, hour and 3 hours, which I never thought I'd have to do, but it was like new and knew something I knew I wanted to bring up.
Right.
Yeah. No, I can join you in that because we're having that discussion right now, like at DragonCon. Yeah. Because our kid was 4, 5, 6 during COVID, and everything shut down. And you're like, what do we do all day?
Screen time.
We created some habits, I think, through that we're starting to see those behavior. He's 8 now, and we're starting to see some behavioral changes. We're like, dude, we got to start rethinking it, and maybe start putting in some limits and kind of trying to baby step it. I don't want to yank it away. Like I kind of want to figure out how to ease into. Let's draw down our time a little bit until we feel a little bit more comfortable. But I think one of the things that I've learned as a parent overall is like, it's always wrestling like with the idea of control. Like I want to control this situation and this child. And one of the things we do that either through grace or we can do that through anger. And I think one of the ways that we're trying to parent our kid is that grace first approach. Like you made a mistake. It's okay. We do things like this. We're trying to work through it. Versus like those knee jerk, like stop doing the thing, we gotta quit, and I have that situation a lot. But.
So yeah, I unfortunately have the smallest temper, and sometimes I am a little quick to anger. In which case, gotta pull it back, gotta apologize. I apologize to my son when I get angry unnecessarily. That was something my parents never did for me. And yes, as you said, screen time is an issue, and especially with COVID, because like what you were watching TV all the time. Like what are you going to do? And sometimes you just want to shove the kid in the room so that you have some time to yourself. And that COVID affected this age group of children and how they were raised with screen time because they couldn't do anything
well
else.
Their social skills from like 5, 6, and 7,
right?
You develop a lot of how you interact with people. Or social skills, they didn't get those were in behind a screen,
right?
And so they're having to learn how to not get overwhelmed when they're out, because I know Arissa does that a lot. She'll get a little and then she'll get snippy, and then you'll ask her a question and she'll get a little teary because she's just overstimulated from just people and things and sounds because you spent a better part of 2 to 3 years in the house.
And I mean, we made sure that we found a nice bubbled little COVID play group, so he got some actual socialization. But I mean, we make sure that he does soccer, he does theater, he is with people. But yeah, we also have screen time problems. Like sometimes we're like, how long have you been on your iPad? 2 hours. How did that happen? So yeah, we're struggling with finding those limits because we don't always pay attention. And I don't want to be that parent who I'm sitting on my iPad. Okay, you only get 1 hour of screen time.
Like you only get 1 hour, but I'm gonna sit here and do stuff on my iPad for 3 hours.
Exactly.
That seems to me very hypocritical in a way, and I don't want to be
thing is that
a hypocrite.
I play a lot of video games. We were talking about Baldur's Gate 3 when some people came in. So for me to then turn around and say, well, it's bad for him to play video games. Well, I just spent my free 3 hours playing Baldur's Gate 3. How can I tell him that what he's doing is bad when I can't model that appropriately?
Right. So definitely an interesting way to navigate things because especially like for you with you working in the video games, I do digital content. So a lot of my downtime is editing on my phone, playing, keeping up with messages, doing all these things. And it's like, yeah, you run out, all of a sudden it's been 3 hours and I'm like, oh, I've been on my phone for 3 hours. Oh, she's been beside me on the couch on her iPad for those 3 hours too. Oops.
Yeah.
Sorry. But she does scouts. So we get out and do a lot of outdoor stuff with that. And that's part of why she's actually in Boy Scouts because she thought Girl Scouts was boring. So we do Boy Scouts where they get out and they do the things. They go camping, they go canoeing, they learn, how to build things. And it's definitely a good balance, I think, right now for people and outdoors and touching grass. All right. So we will take questions, but I want to do this real quick in between. That way we can take the rest of the time to do the questions. So this year, the DragonCon charity partner is Cure. Cure is dedicated to conquering childhood cancer through funding targeted research while supporting patients and their families. The QR codes are there if you want to donate, find out more information. Even though it has the wrong dates under there, I swear it's for this year. DragonCon will match all of the donations up to $125,000. And then our track sponsor for 2023 is The Cat. For over 22 years, they've been empowering lives through disaster relief, food distribution, orphan care, and more. Their top-notch ratings from Charity Navigator and BBB Wise Giving Alliance means your contributions are going to make a difference. So, yay, those are the things we're supposed to say. And now we can take the questions. All right, so first question. You had your hand up earlier. But someone wants to throw that because I'm really bad. It's not going to hurt. It's soft. Yeah, it's soft.
Nice.
Yeah.
I caught it.
All right.
Wow. Okay. Hi. My question, because we all have different perspectives on grown-up intimate stuff and what kids can see and whatever in time limits, is how you guys are waiting until they see it and then making changes, or
As far as like like more adult topies, or
like more adult topics, or like more violence, or whatever you find inappropriate, I should say.
Well, for our family, because I don't hide anything. This is my life. Our family's poly. So that's my daughter. That's my ex-husband's girlfriend. Their other girlfriend is at home. My boyfriend will be
husband's
here.
at home. My girlfriend is
Right.
Yeah.
So the other girlfriend just had a baby 4 months ago, and Arissa is very open about being like, Daddy's other girlfriend had the baby. So for her and our household is we just talk through it in an age-appropriate way that, everybody's friends and, we all hang out together, whatever is how it goes in that way. And that sometimes is really just based on the maturity level of the kid, because that does vary. Every 9-year-old is different and how they handle things. Every family is different how they do things. And you can I feel like it's better for, at least personally, to touch on some of those subjects before they see it. Like for her, wears dresses. It's like, you need to wear shorts underneath your dresses because you don't want adults don't need to see your panties. Yeah. That's how we go. That's as far as we go with it currently. If there's reasons to, go further with that later on, then we will. But kind of like, that's kind of how we do things.
I can say that I'm probably a little bit more uptight than you in there. We do PG-13 content, and of course I have a 9-year-old son, so we don't do anything explicit. I don't like violence. He's constantly begging me to see R-rated horror movies and things like that. I don't like to watch them, so it's not something that I feel that I would like him to see. Now, of course, if he goes over to his friend's house and he watches it, there's nothing I can do about that. And I'm not going to yell at somebody else's parent for how they handle things in their house. But he's a responsible kid, and I do trust him to make good decisions. And if he sees something that he doesn't want to see and doesn't want to see it again, I would hope that he would mention that, or if he, went and saw it at somebody's house, he's free to tell me that. And I would say, I really wish that you wouldn't watch things like that, but as long as you're not screaming to me in the middle of the night that you're scared, I get.
Like,
I guess
she
that you're
likes
ready for it.
horror. Like, she likes spooky things, but she doesn't like it. So she knows what she likes and doesn't like.
Right.
Like, in our stuff about language is like, as far as being a hypocrite, is we don't tell her she can't use adult words. We've more taught her discretion. You can't say them at grandma's house. You can't say them at school. You can't say them for shock value. Don't just, use bad words just to get a reaction. And if you are using them, use them in context.
And that bad words are words that hurt somebody's feelings. A word that if you call somebody stupid in order to call them stupid, then stupid is the bad word there, regardless of how serious you might find that. I'd rather her say.
I don't like it when my son says swear words, and he does slip up in front of me every so often, but that's where I'm like, I know you say it.
Like, we had an issue,
issue.
was it a couple months ago, when she was saying, something every time she dropped something, and it was just gotten to be really repetitive. And so I had a conversation with her father. I was like, you've been playing a lot of new video games, haven't you? And you're probably playing them on hard mode, aren't you? Can we dial it back a little bit? Right. And that's just kind of how we dealt with that, is that it's not wrong for saying it, but every time you do something, it becomes a little much, and then it's a little excessive, and that's not right.
So for us, as far as tools, I cast a kind of a broad brush when I said when they see something, we just wait till they see it. And that really wasn't quite what I was meaning when it came to that.
That's why I was asking. I'm trying to gauge.
Yeah, I guess I meant more like thinking age appropriate, like spooky stuff that we weren't ready for, or something like that. But like, we do use a DNS server on our network at home that kind of keeps out like adult content, because there's a stumble upon factor. I was trying to go to, back when I was a kid in 96, it was whitehouse.com. I'm going to go learn about things. That was a bad place. That was not where you wanted to end up. Sorry for the plug there, but that was not where you want to go. I shouldn't have said that. But either way, like, there's
go to that site.
Things like that used to happen, right? Like, you would go somewhere and then all this stuff would pop up, and we just want to avoid that at all costs, And so that's kind of what we try to do. We have tools in place that keep that from happening. But there's also honest discussion, like when something happens or when we discuss it, that's something we want him to be able to talk to us about. And we never come down hard on him when he makes a mistake or sees something he shouldn't. We're just like, ooh, dude, I don't know if I like that particular video. Let's come back. And then it's usually he'll go like, well, yeah, we should probably just delete YouTube again until I'm ready. Because he'll see something on kids' YouTube and be like, but on YouTube, there's cooler videos. And we're like, all right, we're going to put you on a list. And here's your list. You stay there. These are safe. And then he'll wander over in that recommended
The autoplay feature is probably.
And
autoplay. I think you can turn that off, though. I think
you can.
Yeah. So because we are live streaming, we are getting some questions from the Twitch channel as well.
Yeah.
So
how exciting!
Do you want to read it out, or that way? Going, and of course it is like, and then we'll do more from out here as well.
Question from the stream: how do you determine what is family friendly or PG-13? As a family friendly streamer, I, as in the person asking the question, struggle with content. Warframe is mature content, but they've taken out the gore and language.
I feel like from a streaming perspective, like, it's a language and it's a content. Like, and you kind of have to go through the ratings of the games themselves. If the game itself is rated mature, then it's not going to be family friendly. And with the changes that Twitch has done, now they are automatically flagging certain games for mature content. That's actually a recent change they've done in the last few weeks because Diablo 4 has all kinds of warnings on it now.
The original Diablo has the mature thing, and it's like all pixelated because of the
so they've made it to where, at least from a gaming perspective, Twitch is doing it for you. So if you're trying to be a family-friendly streamer and you go to mark a game and it's saying mature, then obviously that's not going to be a family-friendly event. So
it's kind of messed up for, at least for YouTube. Because you can mark it on YouTube and there's like some filters and whatever that check for it for YouTube. But there's also kind of the reverse psychology element. Whereas, so I do a lot of bar mixology content. I was a bartender for 16 years. So that's just a lot of what I do kind of tends to involve alcohol. Now, alcohol, you should not be representing brands, blah, 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 under 21. That's kind of the rule. However, and I try not to swear because that's just the vibe that I try to have. And I've talked to other people. It's like, actually, teens especially, that's what they look for. Is they look for anything that's flagged mature or flagged adult, because that's where they want to go. And I was like, so I market as adult, knowing kind of that minors will be going then to look at it. But that's also why I try to make my stuff educational. Like, I want you to learn about this and learn what it is. And I think I end almost every video with drink responsibly and get a safe ride home.
Right.
Like, just in case, I'm trying to give you a positive message.
If you're going to do it responsibly.
Yeah.
All right. So question this way. Yeah. I'm like, I don't want to throw it.
There's a camera right there.
Oh, yeah. Don't throw towards the camera.
Yeah. There we go. And then we can keep it out there and you guys can kind of throw it to each other. That way it's not going across the room.
Yeah.
Seems a little bit easier.
So a lot of the talk so far has been about how you approach what your kids encounter and how you talk to them about it afterwards. What about what you put out there about your kids? Like, we're expecting, and I'm already like, I don't even want to put baby pictures on Facebook. Like, it feels exploitative to post a picture of someone who can't give consent to have their picture posted.
So I'm going to answer this question because I do run a food and travel Instagram. My son is very, very extroverted to the point where he does he does theater. He's done his own like little YouTube videos that he wanted to put together himself. It's a balancing act. It really is, because especially when you have a kid who wants to be out there like that. And I'm not going to lie, when I put like little reels of my son doing something cute on my Instagram, they're by far my most liked post. So I fully understand the temptation that a lot of content creators have to mind their children for content. That said, and yes, my son is 9 years old, and there can be the argument that I'm his mom and he cannot properly give me consent because I am his parent. I have him here right now so that if I start saying anything about him that he doesn't want me to say, he can give me a thumbs down and I stop. So it is making sure that whatever goes out there, he is comfortable going out there, and then also responsible on me to make sure it's not something that's going to come back and embarrass him later on. Like, I'm not putting little pictures of his little butt out there being like, hey, look at his tushy. Because that would be awful. That's the type of thing that, when he's a teenager, someone pulls up and like makes his life a living hell.
The internet, if once it's on the internet, it's there forever.
Right.
Yeah. And also questionably child pornography. So
and my mind goes to a much darker place. I used to work with child abuse victims. And so like seeing just what the apps can do now, where you can put in your own photos and get like professional headshots, like there is a very sinister side of that gives me a big ook.
Yeah, there's definitely some scary thoughts out there, because my daughter, so she goes to conventions with me, she cosplays, she's doing all of her things. She has her own Instagram account under her name, where we post things for family, we post things there. That way it stays off of my business one that I use for all of my content, because again, what I do, I don't want to cross too much of having her on there, but it's more of like I post what she wants me to. Mommy, take a picture of this and post it on my Instagram. Like, if she doesn't want to, I'm not going to take pictures that she doesn't want on there. If she doesn't like it, I'm not going to, the parents that take the pictures, the videos of them punishing their children and them crying, and
absolutely
like that can haunt them for the rest of their life. Once it's on the internet, it is there forever. So, you want your kid to grow up to be, the next president. Okay. So, 40, 50 years from now, someone's going to pull that up of them like crying because you're shaving their head or something. Like, to me, that's just like, it comes to the consent thing. And would you want it out there? Would you want it out there about you?
Right.
Yeah.
And they may be children, but they're going to be adults one day. And even as children, they have their own feelings and their own thoughts and things like that. And you do need to take that into consideration when you're putting stuff out there. Like, we don't use last names. She knows not to tell people what school she goes to. She doesn't tell people her last name. Like,
yeah, we refer to him as the Panda Kid on all of our social media. His name is not out there. And to be frank, I would be way more worried about real life in-person threats than online threats. And maybe that's right, maybe that's wrong. I don't know. But I'm not big enough that I'm worried about someone from Instagram tracking him down and doing something to him.
Yeah. I don't post anything to shortly answer the question. Your image and your likeness, to me, so I voice act at night. That's like I do too much stuff. But that is either of my children. I've told both of them. One of them just turned 18, like I said, so he can make the decisions now. I've never posted pictures of either of them because, for any filter or AI or whatever that might get to use it, that's yours. That is your thing. That is exactly who you are, and that is not my choice to make. That is not something that I ever want to take away from them, because I know that is who they are.
Yep.
I'm very touchy about that.
Did you have a question, or were you just holding it? Okay. And then after you, the guy behind her, and then we'll move it back over here. Okay.
Hi guys. Wow, that's really loud. Wanted to first say, bless you. I have a 12 and 14 girls, and we are past that easy stage into the depths of hell. I wanted to throw out there, our rules have always been, we have electronics until noon and then nothing until 6 p.m. So the daylight hours, they're outside. Yeah. And that's our rule. And it's always worked really well for our household. We have a 6-year-old now and living with us as well, and she's doing just as great with it. But throwing out there, like, we started down the Roblox issue. We started with that. My daughter started messaging people. We had to cut off everything that had any kind of chat services ever, because my daughter is now 14, and she knows about it. Poly, she's super LGBT plus. We have a lot of trans friends, but so she's super aware, but she's also been hypersexualized already online multiple times. And Omegle managed to pop up on something through Roblox. What? Yeah, when it first came out.
Oh, geez.
So as a horror story, be careful.
Yeah.
We were really reactive of it, and we got to the point of now we have to be completely restrictive of every kind of internet ever. And my kids are allowed to open use of the Switch and streaming services, but and we've watched FMA, Brotherhood, and stuff like that for violence since they were like 8 or 9.
Yeah.
And so we don't have violence issues, but we do have huge sexuality issues right now. Yeah. And people will solicit through every website.
Yeah, it's insane. You really have to just kind of, and I think that's where the communication as far comes to. All right, so back there. If any of you wanted to comment on that last question.
No, I'm
or
just really
statement.
sorry you're having to deal with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit IT savvy. I have the capability to monitor everything on our home internet. Is that a potentially invasion of privacy, or like how do you approach if you have the ability to know everything that they're doing on the internet? I'm a probable future parent, so that's where I'm coming from.
I mean, I tell my daughter that I can as of right now, since I purchased the iPad, it is technically mine. I can look at the iPad at any point in time and read your messages and see what you're sending and see what you're doing, because she has an iPad, so she can text my mom, she can text me, she can text her father through iMessage, but that's all. But I don't read any of the messages she sends her dad, because that's not my business, that's her father. But like anything else, you can, as a parent, you have that. And then as I get older, I think as a teenager, we'll address it as we get a little bit older on where do you draw the line as far as privacy. Like, I don't want to be the type of parent that wants to read all of your messages between you and your best friend You know, it's like I wouldn't want anybody to read the message between me and my best friend. Like, oh God, that'd be awful. But I want her to know that that could be an option if I deem it necessary as far as behavior or something like that. It may not be something that I ever do, but I think allowing it to be out there that I can.
Yeah. And you're going to get really tired and paranoid if you actually do
Yeah.
try to track all that. I mean, it's exhaustive. And just to echo what you said, or just to, I agree with what you say, letting your kid know that you can, like, hey, I can look at all the traffic. I don't want to, so be a good kid.
Yeah,
Don't give me a reason to.
Yeah.
That's the, I think that's the big thing, because you have to trust your kid to some extent. If you don't trust, then that's a downfall of the very analog downfall of your relationship.
Well, I think I look at it like like a regular relationship. Like
Right.
if you're married or your boyfriend or whatever, like my boyfriend, I have the passcode to his phone. I could look in his phone at messages at any time if I wanted to. Do I need to? Do I really want to? I can. He's given that to me. But if I feel that I need to, then we need to have a discussion about something else. And I think I use that same thought process with my child, that if I feel like I need to, then we need to have a conversation and see how that conversation goes.
And especially as you get older, and if you have another computer, if your child happens to be computer savvy, and they decide they want to hide something from you, they'll probably figure out a way.
Yeah. I think
I mean,
better
that's
to
fun
have,
on its own, right?
it's better to have the tools and not need them
Yeah.
than to need them and not have them. It's like, I mean, you're an IT guy, right? So you logs at work, you don't care about them until something happened. And you go like, wow, this is like, if they give you cause of concern, then you have it. And you don't have to think about whether, oh man, I wish I could have looked at their text messages just then. You know, you'll always know. And they know, like they were saying, it's a trust game.
Yeah.
You know, you're just going to make sure that they know that you can do it, and it's all good. Just keep it in the clear. Don't hide in the closet of your computer, being like, ha ha ha. They'll never find out. You know.
Right. All right. So then, who you were next for? Okay.
Thank you. Hi, former teacher, future parent. Little bit of context. I was raised by a Great Depression era grandparent who was in turn raised by her 1800s grandparent. Please talk to me about generation gaps. I need to hear, like, I relate to my Gen Z friends and I try to understand them, and please, how? Tell me how.
It's a trick. I don't know. I don't feel as though. Come back to me.
And is this the gap between you and your future child, or just
Yeah,
Are you
yeah,
worried
yeah.
about
Yeah.
that? Okay.
Yeah.
You're never going to understand them. You're going to try, and it's best to be involved, right? Like, my kid talks about this game called Doors on Roblox all day. And I'm like, you see, look, I got one excited.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, Doors. Yeah. And I'm like, I have no idea what we're talking about. He's like, look at this thing. I'm trying, man. I'm there. I'm working on it, but I don't know that there's a good answer.
Yeah, there's going to be stuff that you just don't care about.
Yes.
But you want to be excited that they're excited about something. And even if you don't fully understand, like, here's the thing. My mom is a boomer. She never fully understood me, and I'm never going to fully understand my Zalpha child here. What it is, though, is kind of like, if you can just think back to when you were a kid, and if you can just dredge up one of those things that frustrated you, or like, you know, you sit there and go, oh, I really wish that my mom had been really excited when I showed them Doors, I guess. Or a TikTok video or a YouTube show. Like, my son loves to show me YouTube shorts, and it really excites him when he shows me YouTube shorts, and I don't always understand why, but man, am I excited that he wants me to be excited for them. So
Oh no, you go ahead.
I really enjoy the cyclical nature of it, of entertainment, whether it's movies or cartoons or video games. But since there's the huge, since everything keeps getting remade, right? Yeah. So my son, his mom and dad don't let him play Mortal Kombat. But he was over visiting, and I have a very large and deep video game library. So I have the original Mortal Kombat, and I have a Sega Genesis and a little TV that's hooked up to. But he was looking at like the PS5. He said, Dad, do you think we could play Mortal Kombat? I was like, no, I know your mom doesn't want you to play that. And she told me. She told me you would ask. I was like, but we didn't talk about like retro game systems. And this is me partly just wanting to share something that I liked and something that I played when I was younger than he was when he was asking. So I'm like, all right, I think we'll be okay. If I made it out, so can you. I was like, yeah, you know what? We can play Mortal Kombat, but we're going to play Mortal Kombat 1. He's like, what's that? I was like, it's the first one. So we sit down and turn it on. And he's like, wow, this looks really old. I'm like, yeah, it is.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We're crumbling to dust.
I'm
child.
older than it.
Oh, we let Munchkin
Do you want dessert
watch.
tonight? You're going to shut up.
We let Munchkin watch the original Mortal Kombat movies.
Yeah,
She was
the
like,
movie was great.
oh, these look weird. I'm like,
But yeah, but getting to share that is really helpful, especially if it's something that's at least relatable. So then then it kind of opens up a conversation and an experience. That's super duper handy. My stepfather is older than my grandfather, so I feel you on some of that. Like I watched a lot of James Bond growing up.
Oh yeah.
I was 8. Then I tried to bring a movie to school because it was bring a movie to school day. So some weirdness can happen out of sharing media, but as long as you can have a conversation around it, I think that's
the age gaps are interesting now. 'Cause my parents were very young, so I spent a lot of time with my grandparents growing up, and Dick Van Dyke, and Murder, She Wrote, and all those things. And
My
it's like,
jam.
Yeah.
that's not what most kids my age were watching.
And then honestly, you can end up being just a cool teenager going like, no, did you guys see Get Smart?
Dude.
And then people are like, what?
Y'all are speaking my language all the
Good
time.
night, my friend.
Yes.
Gosh, that's awesome.
Right? And now it's all trendy and stuff. And it's like, see, I've already been there. I already watched it. I know what you're talking about.
But also we have a lot of 90s nostalgia happening at the moment.
Yeah,
So
we
we went to go see the Ninja Turtles movie, and it was as much for me as it was for him.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really nice to have those bonding moments, finding those pieces of media where you can go back and you have an emotional connection with it, and he's going to have an emotional connection with it, or she's going to have an emotional connection with it, because it's cool for them too.
Right, next question.
Oh, you got a question, my child?
Yeah. So how do you guys balance the amount of games your child plays between like your friend, how much time his friends have, and like screen time and stuff?
So he's trying to clarify. He has some friends that have no access or very limited access. He has some friends that have unlimited access and already have cell phones and unlocked and they can do whatever they want. And he's somewhere in between.
Yeah.
And there's a balance there. So how do you all balance?
You know how we balance, Malcolm.
Yeah.
For me, it's the same about having conversations around religion, because I'm not. My daughter goes to a Christian school, so. But the conversation I have is the same, which is this is how some people work or some people believe work. So like your friends might have unlimited. And if you go to their house, you know what? That's their house. They're allowed to, and you're allowed to while you're there. When you come here, then this is the rule and this is the setup. I try to keep it. I'll let all the parents have the autonomy that they need to have, and then you know what the rules are here. So please do the rules here when you're here.
Yeah, that's the way we do it. It's like if any kid comes to my house, like as far as their parents can be concerned, they're my kid while they're at our house, and we will protect them and take care of them in the same way we would take care of our own. And sometimes that might be like, oh, they played more games than you usually allow, but we have the same deal. If my kid goes to somebody else's house, it's like you're gonna do do as Romans do, just don't do anything outlandish. Don't complain if you can't play something because they have a no gaming rule or whatever.
You can't watch what you want to watch.
Yeah, and we generally we're like, if somebody comes over to play, you do games by yourself. He's an only child, so we like have a lot of those kind of stuff. It's a little bit harder to find if there's nothing to do, then we're the playmate, and sometimes we can't always be there.
Hence screen time.
Hence the screen time problem. So like if friends over, like if they're over for more than 2 hours, just no games. Like you guys have your friends build a fort, do something else, and then if they're there for long, we let them play. But yeah, it's tough when your kid comes home and be like, but Tommy plays the games all the time, and
He plays Mortal Kombat.
he plays Mortal Kombat. He watched Tremors 2 yesterday. It's like right. My kid has seen Tremors. Yeah, it's like a cartoon, really. At the end, it's fine.
Oh yeah.
My son was excited when he got to see the Meg at somebody else's house. I have a deep fear of sharks. There are no shark movies at my house, so he has to watch all the shark movies elsewhere.
Yeah.
Very excited when we got to see that.
Oh, good.
All right. So next, who is next?
Okay. So first of all, thank y'all so much for putting this together. I'm finding this both mostly anxiety relieving, that everybody else has similar like challenges, and then also a little bit anxiety producing, because I'm like, oh gosh, I haven't thought about that. I've got two daughters, 2.5 and 7 months, and so not on the forefront of my mind right now is social media, but it sounds like specifically their social media. I'd like to hone in on that a little bit. It sounds like there might be a little bit of variation on the panel about the creation of personal social media accounts, and I would just love to hear y'all's philosophies about the creation of social media accounts that they post to, that they communicate with. If there's what y'all's philosophy is on that.
But for us, I mean, I'll go ahead and run with what we do. Like, he doesn't have a whole lot of understanding of social media, but he wants to be a streamer when he grows up. So that's on his. I want to be every year at the beginning of the year. I want to be a streamer when I grow up, and I'm like, okay. But what I'm doing to kind of engage him in that is we do a charity stream with my community every Christmas. So we'll play like 30 minutes of a game together, like Mario Brothers or something, to let him get involved with that. But another thing we do is you can just record on OBS, and he can get the feel of like I'm streaming, but he's not actually doing it, and it kind of scratches an itch for him. But yeah, we don't, as far as like actual social media, we kind of keep it down. And we've already decided he's not going to do social media until he's not even like 13's when they allow them to sign up, but we're just going to extend that. Because I know for me, it's not healthy. As an adult, I've been on it before and been like, that guy said that thing, and I'll think about it forever. And it wasn't necessary, and it's not affecting me. They don't know who I am, but they said a thing, and now I'm like, I am a mess. What am I, and I don't want him to do that. So we kind of, that's like, I know I said no rules, but like I've seen that affect kids so negatively that it's not going to be a thing for us. And I know it's forbidding things. We talked about it, but we're going to do our best. How about that?
My son does not have any social media accounts. If, like I mentioned, any social media that he's involved with is something that is directly controlled by his father or myself. He just got Facebook Messenger Kids, and that is only so that he could talk to us during the con. He doesn't have data on his iPad, so when he is up in the room winding down for the night and the two of us are out, we trust him enough to be in the room by himself. He can send us a message if he needs to. So yeah, we're a little strict on that because as I said, we know how social media can be. He can watch YouTube. That's about it.
Yeah.
Someone once said, because I used to think no social media until they're 18. I just was a hard line in the sand. And then somebody said, in schools now, it's not a popularity contest. It's not who's most popular. It's who's most relevant. Yeah. And when you take social media completely out of them, you make them irrelevant. And I obviously don't want to do that, but it's just, I'm having trouble.
It is an age thing. I might revisit this when he's 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, but he's 9. He doesn't need it. So.
Like for currently, my daughter has her own Instagram account. She doesn't use it. I use it. And we chose to do that way because with my content creation, I wanted to be able to go on social media and find all of my family and block them. The easiest way to do that was but they're like, oh, well, we want to see pictures of, Munchkin. And it was like, well, cool. I'm going to create one in her name so then I can find all the family and then I can go on my account and go block, 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 which is great for me. She, as of right now, she likes having one. She wants to share stuff with her grandparents and her cousins and things like that. As she gets older, she may be like, Mommy, can you archive everything and get rid of all, if it becomes her own, she may not want all the pictures when she was, 5 and 6 on there, or she may want to create it. I don't think letting her have full access to any sort of social media at this time is appropriate because I know the messages that I get on social media. And yeah, no. but she'll go through with me and decide what gets posted on hers, because I won't post a picture on there. Like we have a tons of pictures of cosplay she's done this weekend. I'm not going to post ones on her page unless she's like, I want you to post that one. I want you to post that one. Because it's her image, it's her life, it's what she wants to share. But like TikTok, like I said, she's not allowed to do anything. She can watch videos. And that's mostly because her scrolling through my phone kept messing up my feed. And I'm like, I don't want to watch the Roblox videos. I want to watch my thing. So it just was more of a way to just differentiate hers from, but if there's ever any issues, you just delete it for a little bit and see what happens. But it's going to be a lot of communication and a lot of evolving with your opinions on what's acceptable, because they're going to get smarter than us when it comes to the technology. And I feel like if there's not the open communication with it, they're just going to bypass what we want anyway.
And you're saying evolving, like that's parenting. Like
Yeah.
It's like everything we're saying here might change in a month. And I might come to you and be like, I got a whole different idea.
Yeah,
Something
I might
happens.
leave this panel room and have
Yeah.
a whole different idea. Throw out everything I just said. Everything is changed.
Yeah. The fact that this is recorded and set in stone for a year is terrifying. Because like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, that guy didn't hold
Oh,
up
no.
his thoughts were
Right?
completely wrong. Yeah.
I probably have time for one more question and then we'll wrap everything up. So who hasn't had a
We got
question yet?
handful of-
So someone,
Yeah, sure.
I'm like,
He hasn't had a question.
I like that. We didn't have to make the decision.
Yeah,
Right?
that was great.
make enough of those on a
Great
daily
audience
basis.
participation.
Well, we all have to deal with the fact that we have our own lives, but we also want to be involved in the lives of our children. But there are things that we do that we either can't put our children a part of, or we can't let them know about, or them being there trying to be a part becomes a hindrance to your ability to do, which are all three separate things. How do you guys handle either incorporating your children into your lives or separating them from your lives when necessary?
We've had some very healthy discussions about boundaries and privacy, and like she has to knock when she comes into my room, but that means I'm going to knock when I go into her room as well, because why is I to get different rules than she does? She deserves just as much privacy when she's changing clothes than I do. So why am I going to treat her differently? And so, certain things, it's like, yes, I want to take you to conventions. Yes, I want to take you places. Yes, I want you to be involved in these things, but there are some places that are not appropriate for a child, like certain conventions. She's like, there's one that we go to that she's like, I don't get to go to that one. That one's a grown-up one. And she knows that, and she's okay with it. She's like, I'll go one day. I'm like, yeah, I'm like, never. But that's how we just make sure that the boundaries are clear, and that she knows that it's not that I don't want you to go do something with me, but just like you like having your own time to go in your room and just hang out with the cat and whatever. As a grown-up, we want that too, especially if we have a job and friends and parenting. It's like you want to have your time and your boundaries, and it's not that you don't want them there. You don't want to integrate them in every part of your life, but you had a life before you were a parent. And I think that's where it becomes a really big issue for a lot of parents, is that sometimes you forget who you were before you were a parent, and you lose yourself in parenting. And then that kind of alters and changes how you deal with things, because you forget that your child is their own person, their own human, because all you do is see them as your child and you're their parent.
Yeah. I try to incorporate things that I know, like with bartending. Obviously, I'm not going to teach my child bartending.
You sure?
But I also personally have very strict rules. I think I've maybe had 5 drinks total in front of my daughter in her life, because alcohol can change how you act and how you are, and that kind of inconsistency coming from a parent can be very jarring. I know that as a child of addicts and as having had a relationship with an addict, it's not great. It can really, really mess things up. So that's a rule I made for myself. When you get to the age that you drink, yeah, I'll do all this stuff. But the idea of mixology, you can put that into other things. So we can make smoothies all the time, and that's my favorite thing, is we can still make drinks. And that's kind of how I give her part of myself and part of my knowledge without having to go like, let's watch Daddy get drunk.
Make fancy drinks. You make like mocktails because that's a very big thing as well now too.
Yeah, you can make mocktails, and any of the content that I do, I wait until she goes to bed, or she's at school, or something else where I still get to do my things that are me. I wait until
boundaries.
Yeah, boundaries.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
No. I know we got the high sign. So, but yeah, I think we got enough. Really.
I mean, for me, everything I do is basically family friendly. And sometimes I want my kid. I was like, you should be more interested in what Daddy does. You should come see. But I have an amazing wife who takes care of like when I do need to podcast or I need to go set up and do a show or something like that. Like she takes care of him and helps him get to bed that night, and it's amazing. But yeah, it can be tough to figure out like how to set those boundaries. Boundaries are important.
I want to say that our sense of boundaries kind of just grew organically. I've been trying to think like where we really needed to draw hard lines, but I think in our family, we just kind of naturally, my husband has things that he does. I have things that I do. There are things that we do like he does with our son. There are things that I do with our son, and there are things we do as a family. Like DragonCon has always for us been a mom and dad thing. Well, we decided that this year we wanted to bring him along. And it's a very different experience for us. I'm not going to lie, to the point where we've been like, maybe we bring you every other year. We don't bring you every year. I've always loved performance and theater, and when he became old enough to audition for things, he started coming along with me. But that doesn't mean that every single time I do a show, he's going to come along.
Again, boundaries.
So it really is just it's not a set of rules. It's an algorithm. It's a constantly shifting landscape of, well, how old are they? What are they going to do? What are you interested in? What are they interested in? And how safe is it for them to be doing?
It's an ever evolving thing.
Yeah, forever. And you're never no one has the right answer.
No.
And you're going to make mistakes. You're going to make the wrong choice on occasion. And then we all learn from it. Yeah. That's what makes it fun. Yeah. But we are going to wrap up because we are out of time, unfortunately, which is like very sad. So make sure you go into the DragonCon app and rate this panel because we would like to bring it back again. Because I feel the first year we're kind of figuring out what we're doing. And I kind of want it to evolve in an ever growing panel, and maybe we can share how things have changed over the year, and where our perspectives and thoughts have changed as our children do get older. Well, so please, we want to bring this back next year. But thank you all for coming. You loved it. Yay! Thank you.